Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about ethics and compliance. Now, ethics is doing what is right regardless of what the law says, whereas compliance is following the law. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'll read a little part from my book on corporate social responsibility, because I work in the area of corporate social responsibility, which has been recently mandated by law in India. So India has the world's second largest human population, next only to China, and is predicted to have one of the world's youngest and thereby the largest working population by 2026. Yet it still ranks 135 among 186 countries in the HDI, or the Human Development Index. Out of its estimated 269.3 million poor residents, 216.5 million reside in rural India. According to a UNESCO report, the country has 287 million illiterate adults, accounting for the largest population globally and 37% of the world's total with any skills, with just under 10% having any type of skilling. Moreover, multinational corporations often move manufacturing operations to Asian countries where the economies were in dire straits. The governments offered lucrative subsidies to attract foreign direct investments, and the regulatory framework was weaker. The environmental regulations in India lagged behind similar regulations in OECD countries by almost a decade, and empirical evidence showed that MNCs in India and other emerging markets did not necessarily have stricter environmental standards than their local counterparts. To add to this, there was a prevalent assumption that achieving economic development should be the major goal for companies operating in emerging markets, and they should divert their attention to social and environmental growth only after reaching a critical level of economic development. In other words, on the other hand, India was home to the sixth largest super rich population, or the billionaire in the world. The total billionaire wealth was estimated to be $180 billion. Therefore, the population was divided between the haves and the have-nots. The country had India on one side and Bharat on the other. It was thus imperative that the focus be given on the disadvantaged and marginalized, the poor and the deprived section of the society, to achieve significant and sustainable human development. Thus, to promote CSR activities in India, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, launched the CSR Voluntary Guidelines in 2009, which was later refined and came to be known as the National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibilities of Business. In December 2012, the voluntary guidelines evolved into an amendment in the Companies Bill 2011, passed by the Lok Sabha, which was then passed under the Companies Act 2013 as the Section 135 CSR Rules and Schedule 7 by the Indian Parliament and notified in the Gazette of India on August 30, 2013. This Section 135 of the Companies Act 2013 is a formalized document that brought CSR from the backroom to the boardroom by making it imperative that CSR must be authorized by the board of the company and nobody lower than the board. In fact, to take it a step further, the statute also clarifies that in a case that the mandated company having a net worth of INR 5 billion or more, or a turnover of INR 10 billion or more, or having a net profit of 50 million or more during any financial year, fails to spend the stipulated amount, at least 2% of their average net profits made during the 3 immediately preceding financial years under Schedule 7, that prioritizes the areas of CSR intervention in India for national development, the board has to specify the reasons in its report. This statute is binding for both Indian and foreign companies that fall within the mandate. Foreign companies here imply company or body corporate incorporated outside of India, which has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through an agent, physically or through electronic mode, and or conducts any business activity in India in any other manner. The expenditure of CSR activities in India will qualify as CSR spending of the Indian subsidiary if the CSR expenditure are routed through Indian subsidiaries, and if the Indian subsidiary is required to do so as per Section 135 of the Act. Thus, the Act is slated to affect over 16,000 companies with an estimated flow of INR 200 billion per year into the economy every year, thus shaking the foundation of business and society at the same time, affecting the country at a multi-stakeholder level. India is scheduled to be the birthplace of social, economic, environmental transformation through financial investments in CSR. Thus, this is one of the places where the compliance and ethics both are coming together, and the companies are taking responsibility of their action, and so is the government helping them to take this action. Thank you so much.
I am Caroline Drummond. I'm the Chief Executive of an organisation called LEAF, Linking Environment and Farming in the UK, but we're a global organisation and have operations in 27 countries with the farmers that we work with. I've been there for 28 years and we've grown the organisation since we started, built on some principles around really our ultimate vision being a world that is farming, eating and living more sustainably. You mentioned that ethics are very much about doing the right thing, and our focus is doing the right thing, particularly for the environment within the farming agenda. So I'm very focused, but that's an important area because obviously it ensures that actually we can move and really create an opportunity for change. I think over the years, one of the things that I've certainly learned is there are 4 ways that make and encourage change for anything, virtually. The first is to see it, to know that, I believe I can understand why somebody else is doing it, and learn and experience and experiment and enhance from other people. The second is to have the right framework, and for that, for us, this is integrated farm management, and I've got a little visionary here of what IFM is, which is very much around a whole farm approach, bringing the best of traditional methods, but also the best of modern technology. So we do use pesticides and fertilizers, but at the same time, we use it in the right place at the right time, with a positive commitment towards animal husbandry, biodiversity, water management, soil health, right through to obviously the importance of minimizing waste and ensuring good energy efficiency and organisation and planning. So for us, this is really, really key. The third way of driving change is around the marketplace, ensuring that there is the right market there, and we work with LEAF Mark, which I'll speak a little bit more in a minute. And then the fourth way is legislation, the compliance. If all else fails, legislate. And actually, yes, it should be the bottom line, but it shouldn't be the driver for change. The driver for change is always in the heart. And if you have a strong ownership, then that encourages, obviously, people to make that change, which is something that's very important. So we work as an organisation in 3 areas: farmer to farmer, the marketplace, and farmer to consumer. So on the farmer to farmer focus, that's very much around, we have a network of demonstration farms. So these are farmers that are good farmers practicing integrated farm management, but in addition to that, happy to share. They're not ever claiming that they're perfect, but they are constantly looking at the right solution for making sure they are delivering an economic bottom line, good environmental performance, and a good social integration, which again is something that's really very key. The next area, we also offer training, and as you have focused on, that importance of ensuring that actually training is not just for the top level, but actually goes throughout the business, so that everybody has a sense of ownership about the key areas in terms of driving change. And then, of course, making sure that there are the right management tools to support farmers to do the right thing. So we have things like soil management, biodiversity and water management tools, which again are very key to actually delivering change. And then the second area in terms of the farmer to consumer, if farmers are doing good things, then it's really important that we share. We live in an increasingly urban society. In the UK, we are now 83% urban. And with that comes a disconnect from nature, but also from farming and the food culture that is actually so critical to people to ensure that they have a more holistic approach to their own health through understanding food. So we run a thing called Open Farm Sunday, where there are actually hundreds, nearly about 400 farms that will open up every year in the UK, bringing consumers out into the countryside to share their story and encourage people to discover the story behind their food. And then about 2 years ago, we merged with another charity called FACE, Farming and Countryside Education, to really drive change through schools, through the curriculum, and encouraging really curriculum-focused education from farmers with training, and then supplying resources around the range of farming types and the importance of actually farming, to encourage more people to actually look and understand not only about where food is and where the importance of rural life, but actually also encourage more people to go ultimately into farming. We've got a wonderful industry. It's not all just about the farmers. There's a lot of supporting people as agronomists, as researchers, as environmentalists, right through to government people as well. And so it's very critical that actually we encourage the next generation as to what is becoming an increasingly technical industry with some very exciting technologies, even gaming technologies, there are drones, and of course the research that goes behind it. The third area I want to talk about is the marketplace. There are hundreds, thousands of brands across the world, and that's something that's very important. But actually underpinning those brands are standards. And I think in terms of looking at the ethical compliance culture, it is the robustness of that standard that is so important. I've just seen a lady from Egypt give an award to Dr. Harbin around, which was based on the beautiful paper from Egypt, but with a certificate of authenticity. And when it comes to food, there are actually, in the UK, yes, many brands, but 5 key standards. So there are 2 good organic standards. We have the Soil Association of Organic Farmers and Growers. There is the Red Tractor, which is there as a baseline food safety area, ourselves as an environmental sustainability standard, and an animal welfare standard, RSPCA assured. And with those standards comes not only compliance requirements, but independent inspection from certification bodies. And it's why do we need these standards? Why are we looking for change? Well, of course, there is the big challenge around climate. We have 10 years in which we have to deliver against the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. We need to be radically rethinking and changing, developing our farming systems. And what we're doing now is not enough. And so where farm assurance schemes do support is lift the opportunity of change. We have also challenges around food security. Do we have sufficient? Is it safe? Food fraud. Just to take things like Manuka honey, there is more Manuka honey sold than there is produced. When you look at coconut milk, there is more sold than actually produced. And so the challenges around food fraud is a huge one, and authenticity helps support that. Then there is food defence, and actually where there is purposeful change and adjustment of food, because where there's food, there often is money. And so from that point of view, again, it's trying to create authenticity, not only where it's from, but also actually how it is produced. And those standards are very important. So our journey as LEAF, over the 28 years that the organisation's been going, has been very much around first trying to encourage farmers to drive change through, obviously, integrated farm management practices. And in addition to that, as we developed, some 15 years ago now, a lot of consumers were saying, we would like to buy, we would like to see where we can get that sort of food. And the farmers wanted recognition in the marketplace for that as well. So we developed LEAF Mark. It builds on Red Tractor in the UK, and on a global scale with the 27 countries that we're operating in, that's Global Gap. And that's important because that avoids then duplication. And it means that we then concentrate on the area that's very important for us, which is about environmental sustainability. And we also look at the journey. So there are things of the journey of input, it's the practices you do, the output, what you're trying to deliver, through to the outcome, where actually it's not just sort of my output was 5 birds or it was a better soil, but actually it is lifting the opportunity of driving change and the ultimate impact. So we've become a lot smarter through our inspection processes of actually what was the impact, are we making a difference? And we've just now launched our 7th Global Impacts report, which has highlighted where the farmers are now improving soil organic matter status, improving their soil health, improving water quality, being very consistent in not only managing good environmental biodiversity, but actually now looking to enhance and protect our biodiversity with significant growth in the percentage of area. So the average percentage of area of biodiversity in our farmers' lands is actually now 14%. And that's critical because it's those special places that are not only important for actually supporting the farming system, but they're actually also important from the well-being perspective as well. There's a saying, forget nature, it'll go away, and it will go away at our peril. So in terms of how critical it is to understand and respect and value nature within the farming system is something that is absolutely important. So we now, as we are developing our standards, we have a process that we work with ICEAL. We're the only whole food, we operate on a whole farm approach, but we're the only whole food standard globally that has ICEAL, but you'll probably know Marine Stewardship Scheme, the Forestry Stewardship Council, right through to Rainforest Alliance and Fair Trade, who are also members. It's a small membership, but it's for us demonstration of the issues that drive change. And just to sort of say, it's a membership association where it looks at credible standards, sustainability standard settings. So we share and learn from others, and I think this is something that again is so important. Sustainability is not a competition. It is about really driving change in trying to ensure and build capability. So the members share best practice and we deliver really real change in terms of moving forward and improve what we are trying to achieve. I think one of the areas, just to sort of to finish off, in terms of where we're seeing now big and significant change is around the fact that there are farmers who very strongly believe of the special places, the environment, and how critical it is to their business. We heard yesterday about the triple bottom line, the economic, environmental and social elements that make the rural sector, but also obviously our farms, such an important area. And in addition to that, delivering that change through impact, meaningful change. As we are against a climate that is changing, we have therefore within that real pressures on our farming system and consequently our food production. And from a global food perspective, we need to be very smart in terms of how we use wisely the best of modern technology, building on the best of traditional farming practices to create a real change. I think also what's interesting, because we have significant government change in the UK, one of the areas that they're now looking at is actually what are the new ways of doing legislation and where do things like ethical compliance and voluntary approaches which are independently externally verified with good oversight and good impact measurements, but where do they fit within actual government policy? Because we haven't the money, so therefore we have to think. And in terms of actually driving that change, actually robust ethical compliance culture is not only good in terms of delivering against sustainable food production, but also for the quality of the environment and social change. So thank you very much.
It's your chance now. Yeah. Is there somebody to help with this? Or
Does it have
can you write?
Shall I try?
Try.
Give it a go.
If it's done, it's okay. Otherwise,
This lady here, I think, will enter.
it's just more
This
interesting.
is
That
it.
way with the visual.
Yeah. Hi, and very good afternoon. It's great to be here, to be able to share something about community culture, about ethical compliance, and how to build a culture for that. I'm Pushpinda Walia, and we have a college of girls, which is one of the best in northern India, if I have to speak, keeping modesty aside, with a strength of around 5,000 students. And there's a lot of projects and programs that we have going on for community development. So the topic I've chosen for today is making a difference, the dynamics of women leadership and community development in higher education. I think this vision of community development is one of the major objectives that is there in UGC as well. Could we move to the next, please? Yeah, so the vision of community development and engagement is articulated in the policy initiatives by University Grants Commission and National Assessment and Accreditation Council. So this is the agency which accredits colleges in India. And there are special credits given for those colleges or institutions of higher education which go in for these community development programs. Otherwise also, like our college is DAV, Dayanand Anglo-Vedic. So Dayanand was a spiritual reformer and leader. Anglo means that we take in the best ideas and philosophy of the West, and Vedic means that we still stay rooted in the Vedas and our Vedic values. So it's a combination of the best of the East and the West. So the idea in Arya Samaj, if you translate it into English, means the best society. Arya means the best and Samaj means society. So whatever ventures we take up to make the society the best that we can be, that is what Arya Samaj aims at. And therefore, it is believed in our initiatives that if you get education, it is not enough. If that education is only for yourself, it is not enough. That education which does not change the world around you means nothing. So every person who's educated should see that the world around him or her changes because of that. So two major aims of UGC, University Grants Commission, and NAC are contributing to national development and then inculcating a value system among students by incorporating value-added standard practices. So what are these value-added practices? That is ethical compliance, actually. So it means that we are not giving just degrees, BA, MA, MSc to the students, but we are making them value conscious. We are making them conscious of a culture which imbibes humanity, compassion, and which has that passion and commitment to change the world. So here, since it's a women's college, the idea is to empower women, to empower the young girls that are there with us, and they become the agents and facilitators of change. That is the problem in India, that we have so much disparity. And there are people who are getting good education in elite cities, and there are children who are in the slums and cannot even afford notebooks. So what is the best that the government can do? The government can only do that much. It is the people who have to become facilitators themselves. So all the NGOs that are working here, they are bridging this gap. Students, we want our students to bridge that gap. So that's what we are also doing, to reach out to the underprivileged, marginalized female section of society. So in this case, I have taken up my own college, BBK DAV College for Women, is a case study. So I have just told you a little bit about the DAV vision, and in this DAV vision, this was actually, as I said, Swami Dayanand's vision of a society which could be the best and based on the Vedic culture. So it is specifically a value-based culture. The idea is not that you just get the degrees and make money. The idea is that you become good human beings in the process and you're able to change the world. So there are 10 principles of Arya Samaj. I will not go into much of detail. These are, when this society, Arya Samaj, was formed, the constitution was made for this. It was said that, of course, we believe in the Vedas. The first 4 are related to the Vedic scriptures. But after that, if you see, from the 5th onwards to 10th, it is all about society and commitment. It talks about, yes, the first 4 talk about how Vedas are the fulcrum and Vedas are the foundation of whatever knowledge we have. But from the 5th onwards, it is all acts should be performed in accordance with dharma. Dharma means religion. Religion means not religion in a narrow sense, but religion means commitment. That is, after deliberating what is right and wrong. That should be the course and basis of our action. First you see what is right and what is wrong, and then you act. And the prime object of Arya Samaj is to do good to the world. And our conduct towards all should be guided by love. And we should dispel ignorance and promote knowledge. And nobody should be content with promoting his or her good only. One should look forward for his or her good in promoting the good of all. That is what is the basis. And one should regard oneself under restriction to follow the rules of society. It means that we are not here to trample upon the rights of others. We are here to do good to society, but keeping, in our individual lives we are free. But when it comes to social cause, we are all bound by certain principles. So it's just that we have, I wanted to show you some initiatives that for community development that our college is taking up. So you can see pictures here. We have National Cadet Corps, which we call NCC. And that is where girls in uniform, it's like a pre-army training. So, the ladies who have come from the West, they would like to know that our girls enroll in for these rigorous training programs. There are several camps, and you can see them in uniform here. And that inculcates discipline and a sense of commitment in them to serve the country. Then we have a very vast cleanliness drive here. It's the national goal, Swachhta Bharat campaign, it's to make India clean, and our students participate in it. The idea is to make these students leaders, actually. It's not that they think of themselves only as students in the classroom, but the idea is to turn them into leaders. So we create leadership practices among them, and we focus on community development programs that are planned and executed within the campus as well as outside. So that is the primary aim. Then we have community college and scholarship programs for our underprivileged classes of society, which would be the scheduled caste. Scheduled caste means there's a particular schedule which the government has made, and certain castes come into that. Certain sections of society come into that, and they've always been marginalized. So the idea is that they have to be brought up to the level so that India can become a developed country rather than a developing country. Then we have these legal aid clinics that we have opened up in our college. We have these, you can see, legal aid is when students need to know something about what they can do, what kind of legal recourse they can take or legal help they take. We participate very much in the National Voters' Day and these kind of programs where we help the administration and in a way the whole country for the election campaign. As you know, elections are coming up in India very soon. So we have holding programs for that. We have Red Cross programs. We have cleanliness drives. Swachhta means cleanliness program. We have Kora Kagas. This is a very interesting, in English it would mean blank pages. Kora Kagas means blank pages. What we do is in this college, we use all the, blank pages of the answer sheets that are used in the examination, and we don't waste those sheets. We take them up and make them into notebooks and distribute them among the poorer children. So that is something that is, bridging the gap and teaching the students compassion, the joy of giving. So you can see here all those children from the slums, they are there, and they are getting these notebooks and look quite happy. Then we have, for community development, we have there's a particular platform that the students have, which is called National Service Scheme, which is called NSS. And this is a platform for social change. Under this umbrella, we take up so many of these programs. It is not possible for me to, take up all of those here, but I can just give you an idea. We adopt villages, we go to the villages and teach the women there how to be self-employed by learning stitching, sewing, embroidery. Then we give them medical health and awareness programs. We plant trees. So these are some of the things that we do. Next. We are also very careful about preserving our cultural heritage. And you can see our college has been the champion in the university among all the 180 colleges that our university has. And we take rightfully pride in it, but we have to work very hard to maintain that trophy. So it's sweat and blood and toil. But we are happy that we achieved that. And we have, again, Vedic values is the values of the scriptures, and in the Vedas it is written that the best thing that you do in the Vedic rituals is the Havan. I don't know whether any of you know about it. It's like, they light a fire and then they read the Vedic incantations, you can say, and they chant those incantations and while they perform that ritual. Now, it is very scientific actually. The things that we put in, offer to God because God is symbolized in that fire that is there. Those offerings that we make are of herbs and are of different kinds of powdered herbs that we offer. They actually clean the environment, they clean the atmosphere, the air becomes purer with it. So it's scientifically proven that the more Havan that you do, this ritual that you do, the clearer and purer the air becomes around you. So this is, you can see a picture of the coveted trophy that I was just talking about and the entire team with it. You can see the students in the folk attire of Punjab. You must have heard of Bhangra and Gidda, and so the students are dressed, some of the students are in that. You can see the faculty. It's a big college, there's a lot of people involved in it, so you can see that some of them, not all of them, but some of them. Again, in the next page, you can see that again those students, and you can see in one corner, if you go back, you can see in that corner, I think we moved ahead. We have to go back. If you could go back, I could show them the Havan. Yeah, you can see in the corner, the left-hand corner. This is what I said when you say you light a fire and you sit around it and you chant the Vedic mantras. So above that you can see there's this gentleman, Sikh gentleman with a book. He released his book and on all the gurudwaras that he found in Pakistan. So we kind of promote these kind of projects, where we can have these writers coming and releasing their books. We have sports stars. You can see in our college. These girls, they have done very well. They are Arjuna Awardee. Arjuna Award is one of the biggest sports awards in India. So our college has the distinction of producing one Arjuna Awardee, then Olympian. One of them played in the Olympics, and then Asian Games gold medalist. And actually, by God's grace, they keep coming. Every year, we have, this year also, we have a student who won gold in the Asian Games. So they really work hard at it, and it's teamwork. Again, you can see these are all our sports stars. We believe that only strong women can make a strong world, so we give the best of opportunities to all our students in everything. This girl that you see here, she won a gold in Asian in shooting, and so we have all these. We win the sports championship trophy also of the university and among all the colleges, and there are two trophies. We have won both of them. One is overall championship trophy where we compete with men and women combined, and then there is another trophy which is only for women colleges. So women colleges, we are the winner, and overall championship trophy also we have been the winner for 7 years. So that is, we compete with all the men colleges also. So that's a tough one, but again our girls are very hardworking. Just on self-introspection, and I could just try to
make out what are the deterrents to women leadership. We feel that there are certain socio-cultural stereotypes which prevent the women from taking up leadership positions, and we try to remove all those mental and psychological barriers among our children. The girls, they feel that, if they take up leadership positions, it will affect their family life. I mean, they want to work only up to a certain level, but they don't want to be leaders where they have to take decisions and spend more time in the workplace. Then we teach our students that you have to be economically independent. I think, is my time up?
I think
all right, I'm going to wind up. So we have capacity building programs initiated by University Grants Commission, where we sensitize and make them aware and motivate. This is not for students, but for actually teachers, faculty development programs we call them, where we inculcate the spirit in the teachers that you are not to be teachers only, but you have to rise to the leadership level where you can make a difference in the policy making of India. So we are basically concerned with what we can do for productive community engagement and what community engagement can do for our college. So the idea is that we change the society, and of course in these initiatives the society also changes you for a better person. And there are, we believe, endless opportunities of change and to create a community of leaders, and it is only when young women turn into a community of leaders they can bring about change. And that is the whole idea, to educate, to enlighten, and finally to empower. Thank you so much for being a patient audience.